Max Verstappen is back, and not just back. He's roaring. After a shaky start to the season in Bahrain, where the usual Red Bull dominance felt like a thing of the past, all eyes were on the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in Jeddah to see if Max could bounce back. What followed was nothing short of shocking. It wasn't just a return to form, it was a thunderous comeback that flipped the narrative and sent shockwaves through the paddock. Verstappen didn't just take pole, he stole it. In a weekend where McLaren looked untouchable and Red Bull looked off the pace, Verstappen pulled out a lap that silenced doubters and made one thing clear: the king isn't ready to give up his crown. Going into the weekend, McLaren had all the momentum. Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris were turning heads in every session. Their cars looked smooth, fast and glued to the track. FP3, the final practice session before qualifying, told the story perfectly. McLaren was on top. Norris was flying under. The lights and the McLaren garage looked confident. It wasn't just hope, it was expectation. Analysts, fans and even rival teams were convinced that Jeddah belonged to McLaren. People started talking about a power shift, a new era. Even Mercedes's Toto Wolff said it. McLaren hadn't even pushed to the limit yet, and they were already faster than anyone else. Meanwhile, Red Bull looked off. Max Verstappen's RB21 didn't have its usual bite. It felt unstable, difficult to handle, almost like it didn't want to be driven on the limits. Max himself said the grip was missing, and it showed. The car looked loose, unbalanced, and not ready for a tight, high-speed street circuit like Jeddah. Bahrain was still fresh in everyone's mind too. Max had qualified 7th and finished 6th. For a driver used to leading from the front, that was unthinkable. The whispers were growing louder. Was Red Bull slipping? Had the rest of the field finally caught up? By the time qualifying started, most people had written off Verstappen's chances of pole. He'd be in the mix, sure, but the front row, that seemed unlikely. McLaren looked too strong. Norris and Piastri were trading fast laps like a couple of veterans. Even Mercedes looked stronger than Red Bull. George Russell was sharp, and Mercedes's new rookie Andrea Kimi Antonelli was quietly making waves. There was even some quiet confidence in the Ferrari garage. But Max Verstappen? The general mood was that he'd just try to minimize the damage and maybe fight for a podium from the 2nd or 3rd row. Then Q3 began, and everything changed. It was subtle at first, like a change in the wind before a storm hits. The track was alive with energy. Cars darted through the narrow streets of Jeddah, soft tires barely gripping through the high-speed bends. McLaren threw down the gauntlet early. Norris punched in a 1:27.85. Then Piastri answered with a 1:27.901. Both laps were blazing fast, calm, controlled, and incredibly impressive. This was their territory now. This was supposed to be their pole. Verstappen crossed the line next. His first flying lap was solid, a 1:28.148. Fast, but not fast enough. It looked like he might fall short. Maybe 2nd row, maybe even behind. A Mercedes or two. But anyone who's followed Max Verstappen for long knows he doesn't go down quietly. As he rolled out for his final flying lap, it was like something clicked. You could almost feel the shift through the screen. Sector 1, purple. Sector 2, he brushed the wall, dancing on the edge of disaster. Sector 3, flawless. When he crossed the line, it was a 1:27.178. 10 milliseconds faster than Piastri. That's less than the blink of an eye. But it was enough, more than enough. The Red Bull garage didn't explode in celebration. They didn't need to. The look on Christian Horner's face said everything. Quiet satisfaction. The kind that only comes when your driver has just reminded the world exactly who he is. This wasn't just a pole lap. This was a statement. This was Max Verstappen flipping the entire race weekend on its head. And for the rest of the grid, it was a reality check. Because here's the thing. This wasn't a weekend where Red Bull had the fastest car. It wasn't a weekend where everything clicked from the start. Quite the opposite. The car looked difficult to handle in every session. Before qualifying, FP3 especially looked grim. Max said the car felt like it was dragging a parachute, and yet when it mattered most, the engineers at Red Bull found something. A few final changes, not major ones, but sharp, precise adjustments that unlocked The car's potential just in time. That's what makes Red Bull dangerous. Not just that they're fast, but that even when they're off, they can still beat you. Verstappen's qualifying lap didn't just win him pole, it broke the rhythm of the entire paddock. McLaren, who had every reason to believe this was their weekend, suddenly looked rattled. Piastri kept his cool in interviews, but his tone gave it away. 10 milliseconds. That kind of gap eats at a driver. It's not a mistake. It's not bad luck. It's just someone else being just that little bit better when it mattered. Norris didn't even get to take his final shot after brushing the wall in Q3. His frustration was clear. Mercedes had a decent session by their standards. Russell looked solid, and Antonelli was impressive again. But Toto Wolff's body language told a different story. He knows what a lap like that from Verstappen means. If Max is finding form this early, and the car is still improving, then the rest of the season just got a lot more